So you step onto your mat about mid-mat. Bring yourself into child pose, finding where that's comfortable. Settling down. Press your hips back. Find where your body rests easily, heavily on the ground. And then begin to lengthen your breath, finding the ocean sound in your throat. Victorious breath, Ujjayi Pranayama. Feeling what sort of space the inhale creates. And allowing the exhale to carry off concerns. So the inhale brings you present. The exhale is the opportunity to release so that you can then, with your next inhale, be even more present, more clear. Allow your next inhale to levitate your torso upright, so you're kneeling, adjusting your knees as you come up if you need to. Take your arms out and up overhead. Bring your palms together down along the midline of your body, resting them at your heart in Atmanjali Mudra, prayer position. And resting your attention here for a moment in this heart space as you expand your lungs around your heart like wings unfurling around the heart. Notice how you feel, the domain of the heart, the feeling sense of oneself. And breathing into that, letting go of anything that you need to let go of there. And then breathing in to tune in. We're going to play now in our last round of basics with Down Dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So letting your eyes open if they're still closed, let your hands release down, and feel free to stay here at kneeling. And as many times as you find it helpful when you repeat this round of practice to watch this first down dog, please do so. So you can see how our focus here is on the integrity of the low back. If you're not watching and you're coming right into it, then come up into table pose and set your hands ahead of your shoulders instead of directly underneath. Stretch your fingers out wide from each other, bringing your wrists broad, shoulder width apart, and the crease of your wrist parallel to the front edge of the mat, so your middle fingers are roughly pointing forward. Lift your wrists to open the fingers where they connect to the palms, and take a breath there. And then plant that area firmly into the ground, where your fingers connect to your palms. Curl your toes under. Push the ground away with the base of your fingers. Keep your knees bent as you lift your hips up and away from your hands. So you're tilting your tail up towards the sky. Very similar to what we did in Puppy Dog Stretch last round, but bringing your knees up off the ground. Firm the base of your fingers into the ground like a root system in your hands, and then from that, grow up long through your outer arms, through your elbows, your triceps, and then up into your waist. But keep your shoulders broad and your ears between your arms so you don't lose your head. And keep all that space around your neck. Since you're looking back at your feet, look to see where your feet are, that they're lined up with each other, and that your knees are still bent. Lift your heels up without taking the bend out of your knees, so you're right up on the balls of your feet, stretching your toes open. With that lift of your heels, you might be able to tilt your tailbone up a little bit higher towards the sky, so you get the curve in the low back. You can feel the front hips folding into the flesh of the thighs, the belly, the chest, the ribs moving closer to the thighs. Now from all of that height, from the lift of your hips, start to stretch your heels down slowly away from your sits bones, but just go to the point where you don't disturb what's going on in the low back and the shoulders. So move slowly. Stay tuned in and breathe. When you get to the farthest point where you can feel a stretch in the backs of your legs, but you haven't dropped your tail or rounded your low back, take another breath there and use your next exhale to release your knees, uncurl your toes, and press back into child pose. You can either keep your arms long in front or you can wrap them around. Find what feels grounding for you. So it might even be helpful for you to take your knees a little wider. Focusing your breath into your low back, into your belly, noticing how you feel. Slowing your breath down if you need to, if it got excited from holding yourself off the ground. We're going to play a couple more times with that same posture. If your arms are wrapped around you, stretch them out in front again, finding where your hands are spread out. Use your next inhale to come up, checking that your wrists are in line with broad shoulders, but a little bit ahead of your shoulders. Base of your fingers are planted and spread out on the ground. Shoulders are on your back. Curl your toes under and come back up into your modified down dog. And because you just spent some time in it, you might be able to find it a little bit quicker. So push the ground away with the base of your fingers, keep your shoulders on your back and your knees bent as you lift your hips up towards the sky and tilt your tailbone up. Move your front hip bones towards your thighs. And from that height, now start to stretch your heels a little deeper towards the ground, paying lots of attention to the low back, keeping the breath flowing through. The next time that you exhale, shift your weight forward, bringing your shoulders over the palms of your hands into push-up position or plank. Bring your heels over the balls of your feet, so you may have to make more distance between your hands and your feet. Depends on your body and where you started. Find the lift of your low belly to aim your tailbone back towards your heels to find the length of your low back. Feel the lift through the belly, but also through the thighs, the quadriceps, lifting the thigh bones up so that you don't sway in the middle. It's a plank, not a sway bridge. It's important for the safety of the back that you feel a long line from your head to your heels. If even with a strong core you feel low back strain, do the knee down version instead. You'll still strengthen there. Start where you're strongest. Broad chest, broad shoulders. Keep the distance now between your hands and your feet. Use your exhale to transition back to modified down dog. So plant the base of your fingers, bend your knees, tilt your tail up, move your belly and your chest back. So you're starting with that puppy dog approach to focus opening into the shoulders. And then from the height of the hips, tail tilted up, start to stretch your heels down. In this down dog, you might find you have more distance between your hands and feet than you did on the first one. So just see what that feels like. Work with that. Feeling still the lift of the belly underneath that you had in plank to lift the pelvis up, and the engagement of the thighs that you had to draw the thigh bones back so the shoulders don't take all the weight. The next time that you exhale, release your knees back down to the ground, coming into child pose again. Press the ground away, reconnecting to the earth, allowing your head to rest, your hips to drop down, your breath to slow down. Once you've found that, your breath is slowed down and you've integrated some of the energy of that posture, that semi-inversion of down dog, then release yourself forward and long onto the mat. Coming onto your back for Shavasana, corpse pose. Finding where your long lines are. Stretch the heels of your feet away from your head. And then let your feet release away from each other. Stretch the fingers of your hands away from you, turning your palms to face upwards so that your shoulder blades slide broadly under your back so you don't feel cramped in the upper back. And then if you need to adjust for the curves of your back, your low back and your neck, shift or shimmy your bum down or out to the sides until you feel release in your low back. Adjust your chin so that the back of your neck has a curve that feels easy and spacious. Tuck your chin down slightly if it's pointing up at the sky, or lift your chin slightly if it's jammed down into your throat. Let your eyes close, and when you close your eyes, notice if they're still moving, following all of the activity in your mind or in your body. Imagine looking down gently, without strain in the muscles of the eyes, looking down towards your belly, as though you could see through your body and you could see the breath rising and falling in the belly. And letting that happen without trying to do the breath. Releasing the action of the breath, and then also releasing the actions of the body. A lot of this level of practice has been about lifting up off the ground, practicing levels of levitation. So now release into the ground. Allow yourself the balance of time and space to integrate, absorb. So entrusting the weight of your body to the ground. And noticing in the first few moments of releasing, as the muscles stop firing and the body starts to settle, to soften, you might find you need to adjust, to shift something. So you feel the same level of space in the back body that you can then release more deeply into. But once you've adjusted, commit to a good enough posture. Commit to being still. Taking on the name of this posture, the dead body, as an opportunity to let die, to let go of what isn't needed, and to explore what it feels like to be as still as a dead body. And yet noticing within that, within the lack of movement, within the stillness, there is still the movement of the breath. Letting it happen so you're not doing the breath. You may even be able to sense the movement of your heart, your blood, and the movement of the mind and the emotions may become much more apparent in the stillness. So if you notice that your mind is busy, fixated, wrapped tightly around a bone of thought, guide the power of your mind into the rhythm of your breath as it's happening. Be willing to let go. If your attention has shifted out of your body, out of your breath, come back. Reconnect with your breath and your body, using your breath as a bridge between your mind and your body. Let your body stay relaxed and still, and yet notice when you actively breathe again, you start to draw the breath in more dynamically, how that affects the body from the inside out. the level of expansion from center outwards and downwards and upwards. How much space, multidimensionally, can you create in your torso from your pelvic floor all the way up to your neck with the inhale? Letting go fully and completely with the exhale. Sensing from this connection to your breath and to your center how it is you might like to transition. So it might feel good to breathe down into your legs and arms and move or wiggle your hands and feet. It might feel good to stretch your arms up above your head and reach your fingers away from your toes as though you're being drawn longer. It might feel good to draw your knees in and hug them in to open your low back, or you might want to do all of that. So feeling how and what you want to move, letting your head and neck follow more than lead, let your breath lead. Taking your time to transition to sitting up tall. Come into an easy sitting posture, cross-legged or kneeling. Using any props that help you so that you're not distracted by your seat, and we can focus in these last few moments in opening some space in the neck and shoulders. So once you have your seat, you have the natural curves of your spine, top of your head lifting up. Reach your fingertips down towards the ground. If you touch the ground on either side of your hips, feel that you're not dropping weight into your hands. Create an even connection left to right, and just reach down, touching lightly, if at all. Then the next time that you inhale, draw your breath up from the ground along your spine, and when you reach the top, exhale and release your head to the right and focus into the open left side of your neck. Adjust your head so you can breathe into the stretch. Following the same visualization of inhaling from the pelvic floor into the belly and into the low back and into the ribs, from the lowest ribs all the way up to the collarbones, and then at the fullest part of the inhale, feeling the stretch in the left side of your neck, from your shoulder to your ear, and feeling that your hands are still even towards the ground so that your shoulders haven't followed you and your waists haven't shrunk. If you want to intensify this stretch, you can turn your palms up and tuck your elbows in towards your ribs so you look like Lady Justice with the scales. If that creates too much strain, you tighten your jaw or you stop breathing, just go back to long arms, using the breath to create the stretch, to create the change. And adjusting, if it's too intense to have your ear dropping, turn your nose or your chin towards your shoulder, and that may soften it a little bit. With your next exhale, release your chin down along the center of your collarbones and bring your hands to your knees or your legs and arch back through your spine, holding tight with your hands and tucking your belly in so you create a stretch across your back. Let your head drop down, and it might feel good to roll your chin along your collarbones to open the back of your neck. Use your next inhale to uncurl your spine from the bottom upwards, letting your head follow. Stretch your fingers back towards the ground on either side of your hips, broadening your shoulders onto your back, and release your head to the left. If you can, close your eyes and use your mind's eye to visualize the breath in the body, to see how the inhale creates space from the seat upwards towards the neck, and the exhale allows that stretch between your shoulder and your ear to deepen. It gives you an opportunity to let go of whatever's held tight in the open side of your neck. If you want to deepen that, turn your palms up and maybe tuck your elbows in. Just check it to be sure you can still breathe into it. Feel free to change the angle of your head if it's too intense. The next time that you exhale, let your head roll down along your collarbones. Bring your hands to your knees or your legs, arch back through your back, and hold that curve for a breath or two as you tuck your belly in, let your head release. Find a big curve from your tailbone to your skull, and your breath running along that curve of your spine. Use your next inhale to draw up tall, and as you lift your spine up, Lift your arms out and up overhead. Gather up whatever sort of energy, quality, superpower you'd like to take with you off the mat into the rest of your day or your life. And then bring your palms together down along the center of your body, acknowledging yourself, your practice, acknowledging anyone else who's practicing with you. Namaste. Thank you for being present.